What's up, weebs? Welcome back to Anime Lane, the podcast where we take you down the yellow brick road of anime and have a look at everything it has to offer. On today's episode, it's not anime in the first 25 episodes of Mobile Suit Gundam ZZ. Series direction and story by Yoshiyuki Tomino, music by Shigeaki Sagusa, animation production by Sunrise. It aired March 1st, 1986 through January 31st, 1987. It is licensed in the UK by Anime Limited and formerly in the US by Nozma Entertainment. You can find more information down in the description, like actual writing credits and stuff. As always, on today's episode, I am Notorious, and joining me once again today is Shaun.
It is an anime.
It is an anime, yes.
It is. Incorrect.
Loud incorrect buzzer. So yeah, we said at the end of Stardust Memories episode, which was not that long ago, it came out like 2 weeks ago, we were done with Gundam for a bit, and then we kind of realized, well, if we don't do Double Zeta and Char's Counterattack soon, we legitimately don't know when we would get back round to it. And compared to leaving the original trilogy into Zeta for like 4 years, it's a bit different because these things kind of continuously aired back to back.
Yeah, like the continuity, I mean, we're gonna have to talk about just the continuity issues.
Yes,
the tone between the two series, like in soon, but like there is it's like directly a sequel to Zeta. And from what you've told me, Char's Counterattack is sort of a direct sequel to this.
Yeah, it came out like a year after this finished airing, if I recall correctly. I'm pretty sure that was 1987 that came out, and yeah, you know, much more of a continuation of where things end up at the end of Double Zeta. I mean, this is a direct continuation, not just of the story, like where Zeta ends is where Double Zeta begins, but also Zeta finished airing February 22nd, 1986, and this immediately started airing March 1st, so like a week had gone by.
Yeah, it's basically, it is very much two separate shows, but at the same time, it's basically one giant
like 97 episode show. You just have to be aware of the shift.
Could we just talk about that first episode for like a second?
You mean the prelude to Double Zeta or whatever they called it, even though it technically is the first episode because it kind of expects you to have watched it.
Yeah, the way I watched it, I started it up and it said episode 1. I was not expecting a prelude to basically the entire series, really.
Yeah, but there's like 3 things that it mentions that you need to know going into Double Zeta. It's truly baffling.
we see the main character. He just pops up directly to camera, like addressing the audience. I also have to state, throughout this whole thing, everything else has been like restored from like the actual animation cells or whatever. Yeah,
Prelude to Zeta is restored from, and I think this is probably down to how it was edited rather than like
this isn't a knock to it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's restored from like a master tape rather than like a master film, given the quality and the fact that on the discs it's always presented in interlaced 60, well, not 60 frames per second, it's 60 frames per second interlaced, but it's like, you know, 29.97 or whatever the fucking NTSC standard is.
Well, it just looks like videotape, no matter how much you try and like bump up the fidelity, because it has the muted sort of colors that VHS sort of has. It's the interlacing. It's even just the way it moves a little.
Yeah.
I did have a little bit of fear of like, oh god, did they not restore Double Zeta as much as Zeta, and this is gonna be it for the whole thing?
No, as far as I know, this is like the only episode in every bit of Gundam media I've ever watched that is like this. Everything else has been pretty pristinely to the extent that Bandai are overzealous with noise reduction, but that's a whole other thing.
To learn more, go to letterboxd.com/Rebel Notorious and like scroll down to your to your film reviews of the
Yeah,
trilogy.
I probably talked about it in the Gundam trilogy. I definitely mentioned some of it in the Pat Labor movies when I watched them recently. Um, but yes, this is the only thing that I think has ever been restored like this, and I wonder if it's a thing of like, for whatever reason, they kind of never expected it to be part of the run after that, like that they would never need to show that again. It says prelude to Double Zeta, but it's almost like more of an interlude in between Zeta and Double Zeta because of the gap. It's weird that it's honestly weird that it starts Double Zeta, because it would have made more sense at the beginning of Zeta, given the like 7-year gap between
Yeah,
the original Gundam
like
series and Zeta.
because I watched this and I was like, okay, and my first thought was actually, okay, this would have actually been cool at the beginning of Zeta, just
Yeah.
catch us up in between, because you started us off in Zeta like just kind of dropping us in, expecting us to pick it all up as it went on, whereas this is an actual info dump, really, of just everything that happened,
Yeah.
not just in like 79, but also just Zeta itself.
And what they do amazingly with the 79 parts is just bring up shit that was not pertinent to Zeta. What's it, like, you see Isolina, you see Ramperal, you see like his wife, you see a bunch of stuff that like
do
that
you see Sailor?
You see Sayla from Zeta, but I don't think you see her from 79 unless there's like a shot of the white base crew, because I know that they show like Frau and Kai and Hayato and all of that, but yeah, there's flashes from episodes that like don't really matter to Zeta, because Zeta really is just a continuation of Char and Amuro's whole dynamic. If you really needed to know, yeah, if you really needed to know anything about the original Gundam going in, but it's weird that this happens here, just kind of in the middle of a long story.
I can see this clearly being like a sort of like if these were airing like week to week, basically, as you just said, I can see this as sort of a almost infomercial sort of interlude, sort of like, just in case you've forgotten what's been happening so far, here's your pickup for the next series next week.
Yeah, because I guess like at the time, mid 80s, there wouldn't have been reruns in the way that we had reruns growing up. Power Rangers would air like 5 days a week, but even if you missed that new episode would have been on at some other point during the week, and there probably would have been like a marathon at the weekend, whereas TV didn't work like that in the mid-80s.
The example I always think of in like from like my childhood, from like, obviously I'm gonna bring it up to Doctor Who, but like Doctor Who, the episode would air on Saturday and then it would air again either morning or evening on the Sunday as well, in case you missed it, and then like BBC Three or whatever would constantly repeat like the new series from like Christopher Eccleston to whatever, just whenever they felt like, basically, from what I remember.
Yeah.
I don't think you got that in the 80s.
No, I mean, there would have been far, far less channels. I think there were way, way more networks in Japan around this time.
I mean, in the 80s in the UK, we only have, because my parents keep constantly bringing this up to
3 channels.
3 or 4 after, like, what, 82?
Channel 4 would have started in 82 or 83, I think.
Yeah.
Channel 5 was the mid-90s, if I sorry, early 90s, if I recall correctly. Because then Sky came in like, the late 90s.
Yeah, Satellite came in after that and just completely blew up everything. But in that context, I can sort of see why this exists. It's just kind of wild when we're watching it. In hindsight, as the first episode of Double Zeta being like, okay, here's your introduction piece now, and it's like you're but like 2 series like late.
Yeah. I guess in like some capacity now, in a fandom perspective, I can kind of see how this works, if only because from Double Zeta's reputation alone, I think many people after the end of Zeta maybe do skip to Char's counterattack and come back later. Just because, you know, Double Zeta is known as like the black sheep of Tomino's original storyline.
I can't imagine why. I did know there were warning signs. One from you, because you've watched this before and you've warned me.
Yeah.
But also, like, the only other person I like follow on the internet, I don't know them, just like, as far as I follow, is like Lady Emily, who's on her social media. She only started watching like Double Zeta in the last like few months, I think.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she did
like, this year.
The exact thing of after finishing Zeta skipping to Char's counterattack.
Yeah, and that was a bit of a red flag because she's obsessed with the fucking Gundam right now.
This is also the woman who got the one ending of Castlevania Symphony of the Night and just moved on. Just moved on.
We're never forgiving her. We're taking shots right now at someone who's way above us.
We love Lady Emily on this podcast.
But both of us were like, "Come, are you? I know you are the rage baiting woman, but like, come on." Anyway, shout out to someone who's never gonna see this.
Yeah, never. She's not listening to this.
We're ants compared to her right now.
Yeah. But yeah, no. There's a marked tonal shift going into post prelude to Double Zeta, the very first episode, the boy from Shangri-La. Just like nothing.
Horseshit introduction. I'm just gonna say it.
Yeah, it's nothing like any other episode of or any other part of the series that we've seen so far. It's very lighthearted. It's even musically and sonically, it has a distinct difference in how it presents itself. To the point, I'm not against the soundtrack itself, but this is the kind of thing that would work well in a City Hunter show, movie, whatever. But here in Gundam, it really doesn't fit, if that makes sense.
It's such a stark, just overall, it's such a stark contrast from like where Zeta ended off, because Zeta ended off very darkly.
Yeah.
Like, they won, but like a lot of people died. Thanks, Tomino. And a lot of... You good?
Yeah, my microphone started just to ping for some reason.
Okay. A lot of people died. Some of those characters I liked, so you know, I'm still reading that. But also, like, Camille is now mentally broken.
Yep.
In, you know, a possibly permanent way, as far as I'm aware. And the first thing that happens in the immediate follow-up after that is Peter Pan and the Dick Butt Squad.
Or Bozo and the Chuckle Fucks, as I like to call them.
Yeah, you came out with Bozo and the Chuckle Fucks, and I'm so sad I didn't come up with that, 'cause that's way better. But I hate these kids. I hate these kids so much.
It kind of sucks because at the point that we're at, I'm like, I can't keep calling Judo Bozo because like he is. It happened last time when I watched it the original time, and now again I'm like, yeah, I hate you at the beginning because I kind of loathe your drive and motivation, which is at first to make money and to fuck over the Argama crew, just like Beecha and Mondo, who are much more problematic as the series continues. But now he's very single-mindedly about rescuing his sister. But like as the series goes on, you're kind of like, yeah, I mean, like what else can he do though? Like his sister has been taken by the Neo Zeon. Like you kind of get it.
Yeah, by the point we've ended off, which is like, you know, episode 25, because we're at like just over the halfway point now. I like Judo as a character now, currently.
Yeah.
I don't mind that his motivation is very single-minded because it does feel like a good logical progression from where we started off, even if where he started off just made me fucking hate him.
Yeah.
But like the same thing happened with Camille, where I fucking despised him at first, and as the series went on, I got attached.
Yeah.
Against my will, I got attached to the little fucker, and now I want to know what's happening with him, even if Double Zeta doesn't seem to want to, apparently.
I also think, that introduction to, all the new characters and stuff at the beginning of Double Zeta, it also doesn't really let you take stock in the fact that, like, this entire time, the Argama's on its back. It's what's the word? What's the fucking on its back legs? No, on its
hind legs.
On its hind legs, yeah. Whatever that saying is, it's up against the ropes. It's missing.
It's on the back foot.
It's on its back foot. It's missing most of its crew. It has been through just the worst time. And
again, so many people died.
So many people died.
Come on, you can't brush past that. So many people fucking died.
And yet, even now, when they're descending to Earth to retrieve a new... Part of the reason being to retrieve a new ship, because the Argama, as it stands, is fucked. The show never really gives that any of the kind of weight that it deserves. Like, the fact that they take on Judo, El, Beecha, Mondo, Ino, Lena, Rue, now Plu as well. Eight people, because the crew is that diminished that they can just be like, yeah, let's take on these 8 fucking annoying kids.
And like, it's also just the fact that like it feels weirdly detached from Zeta as well, despite the fact that like overarchingly in terms of plot, it is interlinked. Like it is following on from the thread of like Ham and Karn and stuff, which was set up in Zeta near the end. But like Camille and Fa. Yeah, I almost wanted to call her Fra. Fa. Yeah, but like both of them like appear for a little bit. Camille doesn't say anything because he's mentally not there.
He shows Judo the universe and then fucks off.
Which, I mean, to be fair, I think that's all he can do at this point. So, I don't blame him. But so like the only two consistent threads in terms of characters are Bright and Fa. Fa, for some reason, the show fucking hates her. Like, I don't know what was going through Tomino's head at the beginning of this, but he just fucking despised Fa.
So, an interesting thing that I was going to bring up is that the reason I said story by Yoshiyuki Tomino is because I had a look through the credits, and compared to Zeta, where about half, maybe 60% of the episodes he was credited as one of the writers, it was usually alongside one of the other 2 main writers. Here in Double Zeta, I found one episode that he was credited for, and it's like the second last episode, and it's not even the episode that you would think it is, because there's one episode that directly links and sets up Char's counterattack in this series. But here, it's pretty much, for most of the time, the main 2 writers outside of Tomino from Zeta, and then a new guy later at the end after the tonal shift, basically. So it's, I don't know how much of, Tomino just kind of drew a line and went, these things should happen, and then kind of left everything to everyone else and went off to work on Char's counterattack, because again, series direction is him. He's never credited on a single episode as episode director, but granted, I don't necessarily think that happened with Zeta either. I think Tomino is much more of like he's just overseeing.
Director, he's more of an actual just general, let's call it showrunner, instead of like a direct sort of writer. That makes sense. Well, whoever liked Fa and was writing her clearly did not stay along, because she's here for the first 8 episodes at most.
Yeah, when they leave Shangri-La, she then goes back.
Unceremoniously just leaves.
Yeah.
But like before then as well, like any competence she had gained in Zeta is gone. She does nothing useful when she's here.
Will say that it's somewhat in line with what we had in Zeta, because at some point they also did the same thing to her. in Zeta, where she was kind of a competent pilot, and then suddenly we're like, okay, the characterization we had Camille have at the start, we're now just giving to her for no particular reason, and then we're gonna make her take a back seat. And so like when she's suddenly having to be the main pilot of the Argama at the beginning of the show, it's somewhat in line in the fact that for some reason they just made her far less competent than she was.
Yeah.
I think my only defense of like the writing here that I will give is that I think they're trying to do a thing that doesn't come through very well, in that the Zeta is very particularly designed to be piloted by new types. And so I don't know if they're trying to be like, oh, you know, Judo's a new type, so he can pilot it, whereas Fa's not, so she can't really handle it in the way that she can handle the Metis.
That did not come through.
I don't think it comes through either, because people are hopping in and out of the Zeta like it's it's radioactive.
Yeah, it's a toy
at this point.
Yeah, it's just a toy for like the crew at this point, that they can just hop in and out. But like, it just feels kind of insulting, because she did have competence, like, and that was almost like a mini arc throughout Zeta on like Camille not believing she's capable and her just having to like sort of prove that no, she is capable. Maybe not as much as you, Mr. Main Character, but you know, she has a role to play in these battles that you just gotta let her do. But this Double Zeta comes along and it's like, no, Fa actually sucks. She doesn't do anything useful, and anytime she appears in a scene in a battle, it's usually to bump up this new great character that you totally love by now, Jado, except no, I don't. He's an arsehole. I fucking hate him. Why are you trying to devalue this character I like to try and bump up this character I hate?
It almost feels like they had no idea how to like have her stick by Camille, when they could have just written her to just stand by Camille, you know?
Yeah,
like I don't
it would have made sense if she was just like, no, Camille, I feel like Camille needs me. He is at the very least my oldest friend. I feel like I need to stay here and like help him get back on his feet, or at the very least take care of him as much as I can, and that would have made sense. They could have just done that. But this weird sort of half and half of, no, she's sticking around, it's just, you know, she kind of sucks, so no one really wants her here. And then we're just gonna kick her out at the end of episode 8 randomly.
It's a weird thing of like, the show never airs fully into it, but it rides a very bad borderline of like slapstick comedy at times, to the point that it devalues many of the characters, even the new ones that we get to meet. You know, I think it heavily devalues Ina, El, Judo, and Lena at the beginning of the show, and it's not until much later that you really kind of start to see like, no, Ino, El, and Judo are a really good team who work well together, and it's not until like super late, like I mean in like 5 or 6 episodes from where we finished up, that you kind of start to feel that come through, and then Beach on Mondo fucking come back and ruin the vibe again.
Ruin everything. Yeah. Because like the whole dynamic of the group, it feels of that the whole group of new main characters that we have, or like just the new sort of group of kid characters, we'll call them.
The Gundam team.
Yeah, we'll call them the Gundam team. Yeah, the new Gundam team. It's like, it feels like they really don't know what they want the dynamic to be. Do they want them to be heroic like Camille or Amuro was? Do they want them to be more edgy, you know, with more like a sort of punk aesthetic that really doesn't come through, even though they keep calling them punks? Like, or do they want them to be general fucking scumbags like they do Bicha and Mondo? Like, I kind of realized this in like the last few episodes we watched of, I don't know Elle's personality after like 25 episodes.
Yeah, and my big issue with Elle really came up right at the end of our little batch of our batch of episodes that we just watched, because like they have this whole thing during the worst 2-parter that we've seen so far, where they get stuck in a colony called Moon Moon, and there's this whole conversation between like Elle and Judo about like Elle and Bicha being together, but actually she's interested in Judo, and she's pretty convinced Judo is interested in her, which comes out of nowhere. And then now at like episode 25, that's completely forgotten about, and there's just like a whole different dynamic altogether between all 3 and 4 of them, because Mondo's also in the car in the scene that I'm thinking about, when they're like chasing, or they're not chasing her, but they're trying to like outpace, whatever that character's name was who was like enlisted by the Zeon to like spy on the Argama for that too. Again, another 2-parter.
Yeah, the crybaby, Cecilia.
Cecilia, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Torres's oldest friend, apparently.
Yeah. Who? Okay, first off, I didn't know Taurus was here. You had to tell me that he was in Zeta, and I just straight up didn't believe you at first because I just did not recognize him at all. Which I guess kind of shows just how unmanned the Argama is, that we've got the fucking background characters from Zeta as like full characters now. Sorry, Torres. But like, yeah, he's apparently not only from the moon, or
they're on I think they're in Granada during this point.
He's apparently not only from Granada, which I can't remember if that was ever brought up in Zeta.
Not that I know of.
Yeah. But also, he has long-lasting friends there that he's known since childhood, and it's only now being brought up.
Yeah, they never encountered each other in the, like, 3 times that we went there during Zeta.
So, but, like, it kind of just brings again that, like, it feels like the first half of this especially just didn't know what the fuck it was doing, and, like, what it really was the trajectory of all these characters. And to go back to the sort of dynamic they're trying to find with the new Gundam team, it's like L specifically is such a good like example, because I feel like I'm not sure what the show is really aiming for. Do they want her to be a second Gundam pilot also finding her way here? Do they want her to be a sort of love interest to Judo, which doesn't really come up that much? No. It feels like it's far less emphasized than even Fa and Kabil was, and they didn't even get together officially at any point. Do they want her to have not only that, but like a weird sort of love triangle with Judo and Beecha?
Yeah.
Even though that was never implied at all. I don't even know Beecha cares about anything other than money.
Yeah.
The 2 examples I can think of like such diametrically opposed characterizations for her is at one point when it's after Beecha and Mondo have come back from their second defection, because they first defected to the Neo Zeon ship, who I'm forgetting the name of.
Oh, the one that got blown up, the Endra.
The Endra, yeah. They first defect there because they're arseholes who are... They keep saying it's for money, but I feel like Beecha specifically becomes very obedient very quickly, to the point where I'm like, is he... I know they're not actually implying this, but it almost feels... I want a headcanon almost that he's a full-on believer.
Yeah.
Secretly, because he's an arsehole.
Because he fully, like, at one point is talking to one of the, like... I don't know, the vice captain, for lack of a better term. He's the one guy who sticks around when, like, Mashmer, however the fuck he says his name. I'm just gonna call him Marshmallow. When he, like, disappears, just straight up, and I don't remember him leaving.
The main villain for, like, a good, like, 15 episodes, and he's just straight up disappeared.
And then Kara soon, fucking a Thundercat incarnate.
I love her hair. I do love her hair. I gotta give her that. She's got great hair.
She takes over, and then there's just still this guy whose name I can't remember, but Beecha's fully talking to him about like enlisting as a soldier and becoming like a proper part of the crew, and I'm like, where's this coming from? Because you're just constantly talking about making money and making the best amount of money that you can, and like being an enlisted soldier is like almost the exact opposite thing of that.
Yeah, and the fact is he adamantly refused to do that when it was near the Argama, which feels like it would have made more sense, seeing as, you know, the Argama aren't full of arseholes who are going to blow you up at the first chance it becomes viable. So it led to me to go, is he just secretly a fucking neo-Nazi underneath it all? And he's just like pretending to be like fully in it for the money. I'm sure Mondo is fully in it for the money, but Mondo I don't think has a brain cell.
I mean, Beach is like the worst kind of like money pursuer that you can get because he simply doesn't know anything. I fully don't think he is a believer of the Neo Zeon because I just truly don't think he actually knows what the Zeon are.
I want to stress, I don't fully believe that's what the show is trying to go for. I'm just stating that like actions speak louder than words, and his actions just constantly point to that.
Yeah. I mean, like, because even when they come back, they strap bombs to the Double Zeta and send Judo out in it, and it's like, hold on,
why did they do that?
What? And then there's the whole thing at the end where Bright's like, yeah, but like if they hadn't done that, Judo wouldn't have got off the ship, Haman's ship, and alive. And I'm like, if they hadn't done that, he wouldn't have been on the ship in the fucking first place.
Yeah, but here's the thing, the show itself calls that out because one of the toddler characters, who are still here by the way.
Yes, Shinta and Kuma are still here.
Yeah, Shinta straight up says, that only works in hindsight. They didn't know that was gonna happen. And I can't believe I'm saying this. I was actually like, yeah, the child is right. What are you talking about, Bright? But like, to go back to like my main point with L, after the second defection from Bicha and Mondo, when they come back to the Argama, like, and this is post the Moon like two-parter, which is like the low point of the show for me. It is just like the rock bottom so far.
It becomes an entirely different show for 2 episodes.
Yeah, but like after that happens, Judo is like, oh, I've got a newfound sense of teamwork and camaraderie with this crew here. We gotta talk about like how we gotta stop being traitorous and stuff. We gotta start working with them. And for some reason, L hears this and is like, fuck you! How dare you say that and insult our friends who have tried to sell us out and kill us like twice at this point.
Yeah. And
I'm like, L, what are you talking about? What is your priority here? They're not friends. They tried to kill you.
It's baffling.
But then there's contrasts later on in like the last few episodes we watched where suddenly she is like chewing them out for being arseholes, and it's like, okay, do you like these guys or do you not? Because it seems like you really don't know.
Because like at points they try and make her like a supportive friend for Judo along with Ino, and like trying to legitimately ingrain
a sense of like, I don't know, honor is the right word, but some sort of code.
And like fully, become part of like the Argama crew and do what they can. And then there's times where she's just not that. And like it's far
it's
more
the opposite.
Yeah, and I think more often it seems that she's not that than she is. And I think that's what's frustrating, because like I find the other version far more interesting of a character, where you have these people who very reluctantly kind of boarded the Argama, and then you've got Ino who this whole time, bless Ino, he's doing his fucking best.
Yeah, he is like the best of them, but like he's also the one that's focused on, I feel like, the least overall.
Yeah.
And he's just like he's like the chillest one there. He's clearly the only one with any sort of sense.
Mm-hmm.
And recognizes that, maybe the guys fighting the space Nazis are the good guys. Did we think about that? Maybe, they're doing this for a reason. Maybe we should just not be dicks. Nobody listens to him, and I'm sad about that.
It's one of those things where there are actually just so many characters, and this is even before Plu somehow becomes part of the crew when she's a prisoner.
Is it pronounced Plu, by the way?
It is. It's LPO Plu, because it's okay. If we want to get into the technicalities of it, it's it's the Japanese pronunciation, so it'd be R's instead of L's. But the reason it becomes L's in English is because she's named after. Well, okay, there's some debate on this, and I'm not fully sure I trust Tomino here when he's talking about
I don't
this.
want to open like a can of worms, I just want to stay.
I'm going to be real quick, because I was going to bring this up at some point. So, her name's very strange when you write it out, right? LP, L... How do you say her first name? Because it's not LPO, it's like Elpa. It's written as LPEO, and her last name is PLE.
LPO is how I'd say it.
Yeah, it's LPO Plu. Sometimes in like other games and stuff, it's translated as Puru, but like that's just because of the pronunciation.
Yeah.
So put her name together, you get L people, right? So the sort of debate around this is, in Japan there is a manga magazine called Lemon People, shortened to L People. It is a Yuri focused manga magazine that also started out with like gravure modeling and stuff like that, but very quickly transitioned to pretty much just fully being a manga thing by like the 7th issue or something like that. A lot of fans thought this is where this name came from. And then Tomino was like, actually no, it comes from L-E-L-L, people, which he says is a name for fae, fairies, like elves. And I looked this up and I cannot find one single actual real life reference to elves or fairies with this name, because I read that and went, I'm so sorry. No, I do not recognize this, because, you know, we're from Scotland. Fae, fairies, elves, they're kind of part of folklore here. You
they're kind of
grow
part
up
of our culture, you know. They're those bastards that keep stealing my name.
Yeah. And so I was like, I don't think that's true. And I looked it up, cannot find any like actual reference to them as L people. So I think he has named her after the magazine and is just not wanting to admit it for some reason.
And he's clearly very embarrassed.
But
I mean, going on like a sort of magical like idea for a name, giving him the benefit of the doubt that he's not just speaking bullshit, which he probably is from what you've just described, but it kind of makes sense because she's very much a sort of magical psychic like role that she plays, and especially the last few episodes we've just watched. So
yeah, I think she's
I can kind of see some sort of like logic in that, but like also no. What are you talking about, man?
But back to my point of like, there are so many characters even prior to Plu kind of somehow becoming part of the crew despite being a prisoner, is that very often like characters like Rue just disappear for stretches and you're kind of like, where are they? And then they'll be out doing a thing and somehow like 7 people are sharing like 4 mobile suits and you're kind of not sure who's piloting what, outside of there's a pretty good chance that Judo's in the double Zeta, except now they're on Earth, he keeps fucking taking the Zeta.
It's more maneuverable.
I fuck off. Fucking shut up, Judo.
It's just more maneuverable. I need to take it. Fuck you, Ro.
I like how he somehow also, before they get to Earth, uses that exact same excuse when they're about to descend, and he's just like, yeah, fuck it, I'm taking the Zeta, it's more maneuverable. And it's like, what? Where's this coming from?
When did you care? Can I just say, by the way, not only does Rue disappear at random like times for like long intervals, she kind of just appears at first out of nowhere as well. Because
she just spawns.
Yeah, she just pops into the story and says, I'm from the
Lavienne Rose.
Lavienne Rose, yeah. So, and we're just like, cool, I almost forgot that they were out here, but you know, it's cool that, you know, they still exist and they're sending us one person. And then she gets lost.
Yep. Also,
is she just this universe's Masato?
I also like that she just stays on the Argama. You have like 2 other characters who come from the Lavienne Rose, and then go back. In fact, no, Millie doesn't even go back to Lavian Rose.
No, she's in Granada.
Yeah. But for some reason, Rue's just like, yeah, man, I'm here now.
Yeah. I kind of just assumed that, like, oh, she's been just assigned to be, I don't know, the representative for onto the Argama or whatever, or just, transferred or whatever. But it is never just brought up, so that's just an assumption on my part.
Yeah. She also just has a completely different normal suit from, like, everybody else.
Yeah, I like it.
She's got the
best normal suit there.
Yeah, she's got a whole, like, Char thing going on, except I think Char did just wear the same kind of normal suit, except it was, like, red.
Yeah. I mean, if you're gonna copy from someone, it is a good normal suit.
It is a good normal, yeah.
And I do like it in blue more than red.
But yeah,
I'm giving her more slack though, because she is like the only bearable character for a good chunk of this.
She's like an actual pilot,
Yeah,
like
she cares about this shit.
She
has a motivation.
She's the only new character who's actually like officially part of the AUG before like the start of the story. And she's unlike the cast that we're introduced to in Zeta, where Camille and Fa kind of come around on the ideals and at least have a baseline understanding of what the AUG are after.
Yeah,
but
because the
Chuckle
gets to them.
Just never seem to get with the program.
No, they seem actively hostile to any sort of belief whatsoever in like an ideology or like whatever the politics of the current situation is. I want to say I've given up just trying to like figure out the wider implications of things, because I know it's Gundam. I know it's Gundam now, and it's just more focused on the character, like purely character-driven stuff we see on screen, and that's fine. It's cool. They can do that. I make it sound like I'm better, but
I also think that just Double Zeta, even compared to Zeta, is just so unconcerned with what's actually going on in the wider aspect. But I also think I kind of cut Double Zeta a little bit more slack on the fact that like the arc was kind of the last one left.
Yeah, like it feels like a lot of the galaxy is just dead at this point in terms of like because of like all the shit that's happened after just the last war. So I guess I'll cut it some slack on that as well, and also just the fact that like I know the score. It's not that kind of like show. It's not gonna be again like the Star Wars prequels where we get extended shots into the wider issues in the galaxy. But I did have a moment where I was like, so what is happening right now? Because it feels like every faction other than Neo Zeon is just kind of dead.
Yeah, I think it's a case of like the Argamas that like done in. They kind of don't know, and because there's no other like ships or other parts of the AUG that they can kind of rendezvous with outside the Lavian Rose, which is actually technically run by Anaheim Electronics, who are playing both sides.
No.
So it's more so that like the Argama is alone. It doesn't really have the network that it used to have. So like occasionally, in Zeta you would get the like, oh okay, here's what's going on from like Bright or Char or whoever, the other guy that died, Henkin.
Whatever.
The guy who captained the other ship. I'm pretty sure it was Henkin. But like here it's like the Argama is alone and it's kind of isolated, so to some degree like they kind of don't know what's going on in a larger scale of things, and I'm pretty sure that the larger scale of it is just Haman Karn is finally making her move.
Yeah, which fair enough.
Yeah.
That's fine. But like it just sort of, it feels the only real like problem I guess I've had with that sort of viewpoint is just it means that like the actual Federation forces that were at least still around at this point are utterly meaningless, because at the point we've stopped up, they've just been taken over by the Neo Zeon like immediately.
Yeah, but I think it's because they were like so overtaken by the Titans that when the Titans
Yeah.
were taken out at the end of Zeta, they just sort of, the Federation just kind of crumbled.
Yeah, and I get that, which is why I'm not really that like annoyed
Mhm.
by it. It's just like, oh, I kind of want to see what like and what any of the last remaining Federation forces look like. And even then, we've still got half a series to go, so
Mhm.
maybe I will find out. But uh yeah, it just feels, it makes the galaxy right now just feel very small.
Mm.
And like the Earth sphere specifically just feels kind of small.
Mhm.
Like smaller than you'd expect.
Yeah. I kind of
But
get that.
it's not what I'm really going to deride the series for. It's just how it's presented, and it's not like a fundamentally broken part of the series to me. It's just a small little personal preference that I have.
Yeah. I think one thing that doesn't really come through super well, but like, and again, it kind of comes down to the tonal shift, but is this sort of like, there's the Xeon that Haman Karn is sort of heading up doesn't necessarily feel like the real Xeon, if
No.
that makes sense, because what you have
feels,
is sort of like a space pirate infested version of Xeon.
Yeah. I hate that I keep bringing up like Star Wars as a comparison, because it makes me sound like, oh, the only sci-fi thing person who's only ever seen Star Wars. This sci-fi series is giving me real Star Wars vibes. I don't want to come across like that, but it's just like the first comparison I can think of. It's like an Imperial Remnant or like the First Order compared to like the actual Empire, where like, yeah, there's probably a good chunk of people who were under the original Xeon who are still part of this group, but it feels fundamentally like a different, like there's a different head on on the body of this thing, because Minerva's only been mentioned once in like the batch of episodes we've like seen, and I did wonder like what was going on with her, but at the same time I sort of realized that it doesn't matter because it's very much Hammond's faction.
Yeah.
She's very much the one in control, with maybe people like Glemmy, whose name I hate. I hate that he's called Glemmy. I thought it was a nickname at first that like Rao was giving him just to be like sort of to, like tease him a little, but no, his name is actually Glemmy. But like he might be planning to like try and backstab her at some point, but like it's very much Haman's sort of coup.
Yeah.
In the faction, and so really she's the one we got to be following. And Flower Man, Marshmallow Flower Man.
Marshmallow, yeah. Marshmallow. It doesn't feel right in my mouth. It doesn't sound correct.
No, I've just been calling him Flower Man or Marshmallow.
Who's just fucking disappeared.
Yeah, he was important. Now he's not. I imagine he'll come back.
Yeah, probably.
I imagine. It kind of suck if they didn't.
That'd be really funny if he just never appeared again. Just fucking disappeared after like episode 10.
He never shows up again, but like he gets a one-off mention of like, oh yeah, what was up with that guy?
Because you got like you got Marshmallow, you got Kara, like you got these like very outlandish people being put in charge of the ships or like fat sections of the Xeon, and then you got Glemmy who's standing there like, I don't know what is going on. This is not the Xeon that I signed up for.
I do think it is like interesting as from like a narrative standpoint, because it very much feels like the people at the head of this sort of Neo Xeon faction aren't like the kind of people who were maybe there at the start of when Xeon was fully forming and sort of knew what the idea was behind like the Zabes and stuff. It feels like this is the group, like the next generation who was raised under the indoctrination.
Yeah, this is definitely like a second generation of Xeon people, because like Haman's 23, so
damn,
the Zabis would have been in power for like I think since she was born. When did the Zabbies? This feels like a weird thing to Google. Take power.
No, you're fine.
Gundam.
We're nerds. We can do that.
0068. So if we're in like 87 right now, then yeah, like she would not remember the time prior to them taking power, because like that's the thing that I kind of brought up when we were talking about Zeta, or I remember I brought it up, but like the origin at the start of the origin, Char is 10 and Sayla's like 5 or 6, so like even they're young. So this definitely is like a generational thing. It's sort of like how do you imagine like the people who, if you know, Nazi Germany didn't collapse, like what would the next generation think of everything?
Yeah, like say like there was some sort of Nazi remnants or whatever, and like the people who were mainly leading it were like Hitler youths during like World War II. Like what would that look like? And it's why I brought up the whole sort of, partially why I brought up the whole sort of, you know, Galactic Empire First Order thing, because it's the difference between people who saw the Galactic Republic turn into the Empire and sort of just came in through its ideals on that way, versus people who were indoctrinated into it and have become sort of zealots to it. And how different are the two really, just underneath the surface? It's a fascinating thing that it feels like the show is actually, you know, diving into a little bit, which I appreciate. But, you know, it took a while for, you know, Haman to even show up.
Yeah. Because she only showed up like 5 or 6, maybe like 7 or 8 episodes prior to us finishing up. Because I'm sure she shows up in like episode 16 or something like that.
I think it's episode like 18.
Oh, maybe it is. Because, yeah, she doesn't show up until Lena gets taken and Judo finds out that she's at Axis. And so that's when he's like, I'm going to go to Axis and
being
get her back.
Raised by Glemmy, weirdly, into like Xeon nobility, which, you know, it's not quite fully creepy yet, but it's starting to urge on the verge of, why are you so invested in this child, Glemmy?
Yeah, and like the only way I could see it, because he never really, it's it's a weird thing of like character intent versus show presentation, where the show presents things in a very weird light. Like you have the whole him going under the table and the panty shot, and then her bowing and the other panty shot, and but he's never looking at her like that. He's never treating her like that. And so you kind of have to try and like think, well, what is his motivation? And the only thing I could think of is like, because she's grown up in Shangri-La, which is a very, you know, not too well off colony. She doesn't have a great upbringing. It's so counter to like how the Xeon perceive themselves, especially the higher up nobility Xeon, that he's like, okay, well, I can fix that. But then the show just keeps presenting it in the weirdest fucking way possible.
Yeah, because he's constantly talking about like, oh, I'm going to present her to like Xeon society or whatever, and I'm going to make a lady out of her. And it's like, you kidnapped this child like a couple of weeks ago, and you're weirdly invested in this. It's kind of creepy, dude.
Yeah, it's odd. It is
odd, yeah. It's not even like, the only other possible explanation I thought of is that like maybe he's a bit planning to make her another sort of cyber new type in the way that like
Plu
is, yeah. I was like, it's not Play. It's not Play. It's not Play.
Imagine her name was just like Play.
Yeah, and I was like, I know it's not there because they're not saying that, but I keep reading it as Play. But like, and that plan, but from what I can tell, that doesn't even cross his mind at all.
No, because the way
he's just kind of treating her like a pet.
The way he treats Lena and the way he treats Plu are two very, very different things, and it feels like, you know, if this were in Zeta, it feels like that would have been done and shown for a really specific reason, whether it's a character trait or part of the larger story or the themes. Whereas here, because at the point that happens, the show's so still tonally inconsistent, we're kind of thawing our way out of the more kind of unseriousness of the first part, but we're still not fully there yet. So it's like it's weird. It feels so tonally conflicting, because that sort of, I think the middle part of the first half becomes very much like a whiplash experience of like, one minute you go from Plu being very badly mistreated to Lena is learning how to be a proper woman in high society, and it's like, okay, this isn't like the normal Gundam tonal dissonance. This is tonal
like
whiplash.
there is a way to play that off that works really well. It's just they're really not doing it well.
It's because they keep playing things for laughs instead of like a total. It's tonal whiplash rather than tonal dissonance. The tonal dissonance of Gundam is like, well, here's the dichotomy of things, and in Double Zeta, it's like, well, okay, you've had this very serious thing. What if we just play the next thing for laughs for no reason? Yeah.
It's like just in the treatment of cyber new types. I don't think they even mention cyber new types in terms of like Plu, but I'm just calling her that because
that's what I have to assume she is, just based off of the way that they show her in like the like simulator thing, because we saw 4 like that, and you talk about like the Psychomu unit and stuff, and again,
and the fact that she latches on to like Judo very quickly in the same way that Camille's not sister latched onto him. And I was like, okay, cool. That's a parallel. We're getting cyber new types back. That was very interesting in Zeta. And in Zeta, the sort of tonal dissonance was very clear in terms of like 4 at the very least, where like, oh, they're having this cute little romance story. Oh, by the way, she's being mentally tortured right now.
Yeah.
Like, in basically every step of her existence. And that's fucked up, isn't it? Whereas Zeta Gundam, if it was to do that plot line, it would be like, oh, isn't it hilarious that this is happening? 4's so weird, right? It's funny. Why aren't you laughing? I have to, just to get back to like the sort of middle part of the episodes we watched, I have to talk about Moon for a second. Beforehand, we had gotten like what felt like 5 episodes straight of the same sort of formula of dipshit gang is annoying as fuck. Some bullshit plot happens with Neo Zeon, causing Judo to get into a battle at the end, and like it's very villain of the week for a little bit, almost. And that, but then suddenly it feels like, oh, we're getting a 2-parter. We're gonna get some sort of actual story now. No, we're gonna go to this random colony that looks like it's abandoned, but it's not. It's fully functional. There's just a cult there, and in a series that's never gone in this direction before. So this feels really out of place. And there's a whole cult based, I mean, with architecture based on Southern American, but I don't think any of the actual culture's going in that way. It's kind of iffy on what it's kind of going for.
There's also the fact that they just are on a visually distinct colony that we've never seen before, but it's never brought up of like, yeah, this was like another type of colony that they were trying out. Like, it's treated as if it was just any other colony.
Yeah, despite the fact that on the outside it looks derelict as fuck and it should not be functioning.
And then you go in and it's like, okay, well, here are, ninjas. Okay.
Just, it goes in like an aesthetic that just feels so in contrast with the, I mean, it was sci-fi, but like the sort of sci-fi commitment to like realism that Gundam also has as well. We kind of talked about a little bit about it in Zeta, but like it feels very grounded in spite of the wacky sci-fi stuff that Gundam can do. Whereas at this point it felt like almost space fantasy when it came to the cult and how they've got a prophecy and that they've rejected these machines. They don't do any actual magical shit.
No.
But it's just like they're pulling all of this sudden cult shit into like these 2 episodes, and it's brushed through so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
The pacing is so weird. We're introduced to like 7 new characters within a scene of each other. And then, because we're following the most annoying version of these characters as well, when they're in full aggravating mode,
Mm-hmm.
that like when it gets to the end of the like part 1, and like the twist is that like, oh, this nice character we've only seen twice in like 2 scenes is now acting evil because she's actually the head of the cult, and it's a big surprise, and everyone's wondering, is she insane? Has she been indoctrinated? Is she in a trance? What's wrong with you? The entire time I was screaming to myself, it's twins. It's twins. It's fucking twins. How can none of you figure out that it's twins? Bright, you're here. You're the smart one. It's fucking twins. And it's not until I think like near the beginning of the second part that they go, wait, you have a twin? That's it? And I'm like, yes! Yes! Why are you all so dumb? I'm trying not to yell so much, but it's like, I was so angry. Like, irrationally angry at this point, because I was so sick of all the other episodes that have come before this, and this just felt like a boiling point of, what does this have to do with anything? And like at the end of part 2, Judo talks about like, oh, I hope I come back here one day and like I can like see what this place has to offer, and I'm just screaming at him like, I really hope you fucking kill yourself by the end of this, Judo, so we don't do that.
I think this...
What did you think of those episodes? I feel like I've just ranted for 5 minutes.
my real big problem with Moon Moon is that not only
also, the name sucks. Sorry, but the name sucks.
Not only has Gundam done this idea far better, there's been at least like 3 other mech anime that have done this idea far better. And the idea of like the cyclical nature of like civilization, and you know, the kind of idea of you know, it takes about 10,000 years for history to be lost and forgotten, and for things to sort of, you know, look back around. And so I think Moon Moon's big problem is that you take that and you just sort of squish it down into a literal 87-year period. You can't end up at the point that Moon Moon is at. Not technologically speaking, not culturally speaking. Even a cult can't get that far in terms of like mysticism in that amount of time.
And also under the nose of everyone else, because again, throughout all of the last seasons, this just never got brought up. That, oh, by the way, somewhere in like the secret, in like the one of the derelict colonies, there's just a fucking cult out there. You can't do that without somebody noticing.
Yeah, I think
at the very least, people are gonna notice that like anyone near there has gone missing. There's gonna be at some point in those 87 years, there's gonna be an investigating team out there that discovers this.
I think the idea of a colony sort of going offline and like disconnecting and kind of being forgotten is something that could potentially happen, but I don't think it could happen through that colony's choice. It would have to happen through some kind of external event that would cause them to either like not be able to contact other colonies, or have to like be forced to make the decision to cut themselves off from other colonies.
Whereas, like sci-fi classic Solar Flare.
Yeah. Whereas like the way it's set up here, it's like that's just the whole contrivance of it is impossible. And
it's
the
bullshit.
In the
it's
universe
fucking bullshit
that this exists in. Also because I'm pretty convinced they're on an experimental colony. At least in terms of
Hmm.
design, because the colonies of Gundam have really specific designs. They are designed in a specific way for specific reasons. We have had it run down at least twice between Zeta and Double Zeta as to why colonies are designed the way they are. I'm pretty sure it's even brought up in Stardust Memory at one point.
I think it is, yeah.
So, like, they are that way for a reason, and Moon Moon looks completely different. So there had to have been some, like, they're trying out this new design. Maybe it's better, maybe it has its benefits, maybe there's reasons they want to do this. There is no way that a colony that would be that valuable in terms of just humanity's
investment
would not be able to do what Moon Moon has done, because they have been like that for at least a long enough time to build mysticism, and that no,
and like some sort of folklore around their prototype mobile suits or whatever that are just lying in ruin but can be brought back with a little bit of hot rodding, hot wiring. It felt like the culmination of everything so fucking dumb in this first half, and it felt like such a jump the shark moment for Gundam that it became the low point for me.
Yeah.
And I genuinely felt pain trying to sit through it. With these fucking characters that I hate.
Because this is also when Beecha and Mondo are at, like, their worst, because this is also when they've defected to the Endra at this, because this is when the Endra gets destroyed. Like, the Endra gets fucking blown up in this episode in such a way that the next episode when they're like, when I think it was Glemmy was apologizing to Haman or something or someone for the colony blowing up, not the colony, the ship getting blown up. That I was like, because what happens is Judo is fighting a mobile suit, and the mobile suit gets thrown through into the hangar where the Endra is, and the mobile suit detonates, and somehow that's enough to just completely wipe the Endra off. And I'm like, in the next episode, he's apologizing for that and like losing the Endra, and I just did not believe that destroyed it. I was like, there's just no way, because they take that sort of damage constantly in battle, and yet that never happens.
No, it's just so much contrivance in that first half, and it's so much bullshit, so much just general frustration with where everything was going for a while, that like it got better in the last few episodes. I'd say once you hit episode like 19, it starts to pick up, and it's like, okay, we're Gundam again. We're gonna get back to the seriousness, and we're gonna stop being a fucking Tom and Jerry Looney Tunes cartoon.
The first actual appearance of Haman is sort of when things start to get that little bit like Judo's weird vision, which I think is just him having like an instinctual level of fear towards Haman.
the sense of evil coming from her as like a demon, which made me go, what the fuck? I kind of saw that as like, okay, either this is a really weird representation of her being evil, which I already knew that. I've seen her already. She's a space Nazi. But also, like, I did have the fear of, like, is she gonna turn into a fucking bug by the end of this?
I think it's the show's way of starting to seed, like, Judo's new type awakening, because Bright has gone on about him being a new type this entire time, and he does have the preternatural new type stuff of being good at piloting without really having any training. But he's not, even being around Plu, he's not had the normal new type like stuff happen to him. Like, even with Plu, he's not reacted.
He saw the universe with Camille, and that was the extent of it.
Yeah, because like, even when we think back to Zeta and the way that Camille felt around 4, like, Judo hasn't had that with Plu, and like, if she is a cyber new type, that's definitely something, the kind of reaction that he would have had if he's had an awakening to his actual abilities yet.
even the way Camille like reacted with like Char, because he was getting that like as early as like the first or second episode when he first met Char and was having those visions.
Yeah.
And like stuff. So that's like the way you see it, and like they try and do it a little bit with Judo with Camille, but like it disappears for so long that it's like, are you?
I think this plays into my headcanon that I talked about with Zeta.
Yeah.
Where the Argama is kind of chocked full at the point where Camille joins it of, at the very least, like low-level new types, like Char, like Bright, also Emma, and
Rekoa.
I think I'm not sure. I think Rekoa like fought against being a new type, but she was in some capacity a new type.
It conflicted with her turf beliefs.
Yeah. So there's enough people kind of like there to jostle Camille constantly, so that when he's in battle and like, you know, Shard low level, but he still uses his new type abilities in battle. Whereas here, like, Judo's not really around anyone who has that and who can push him forward. Because, and you know, again, the white base crew, it's like that's where you know, new typeism kind of started to be a thing that people really became aware of, and it didn't happen until really super late in the original Gundam, and it was really only once like Amuro kind of started awakening that the other people on board started to become, or at least become aware that they were also new types.
It definitely felt, because going all the way back, I remember new types only coming up in like either the second half of the second movie or like only in the third one.
It's definitely in the second movie, because it's when Matilda like restocks them and she like mentions the idea of new types. That's when it sort of starts to be mentioned in the original series. But so I think it plays into my headcanon that like new types develop more rapidly and faster around other new types, and it raises the potential of people becoming new types if they are around new types.
I'm also going to accept that headcanon as well, because it is a really good headcanon. I like it, but also just to like to make it woke, because I have to. It very much feels like almost like an allegory for like, oh, you know, if you hover around like queer people enough, you're more likely to like introspect in yourself and be like, huh, maybe I'm more willing to explore. Not to say everyone that goes around like queer people is gonna end up queer, but like, you know, it's definitely like a thing where like if you let yourself be around that more, if you're more open to it, you're obviously more likely to like introspect and find that out about yourself.
And you know, Shaun and Amuro,
Gundam is woke as shit.
And you know, Shaun and Amuro, gay as fuck, so everyone around them just constantly.
Oh, absolutely. That's not anything to do with the new types. That's just them.
That's just them. That's just their thing. Dimmed yaoi.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Anyway, I like that headcanon, so I accept it.
I think that has to be like the sort of thing that it's playing into, and I wonder if it's tracking to. I'm saying wondering, because I don't fully remember. Like, I remember the tonal shift, and I remember certain things happening in Double Zeta. So I think the idea here is to kind of track a similar course of Amuro, because because Judo and Co aren't necessarily around like active and full awakened new types. They're not developing at the same rate that like Camille and everyone else on board the Argama was at the time of like Zeta, where they were, well, at the very least Camille was developing quite rapidly, and again he only really developed properly in the second half as well, but you know, he had the common abilities, I guess you would say. You know, the Sixth Sense stuff.
Yeah, you know, the average shit, you know.
The average shit, yeah.
Do you want to talk about how much you seem to hate Plu, but I think she's just kind of funny.
Fucking stand her. She's just like the personification and embodiment of everything I dislike about the first half of this show. And I also think it's just, I don't like the kind of character that she is. I hate this character archetype so much. and
of annoying little kid.
Annoying little kid, yeah, that's just forced into a narrative for like no fucking reason. So yeah, no,
It's
she just
funny
gets
because
on my
I
nerves.
understand why you despise her. And logically, you think I would as well, because I didn't like the fucking toddler characters at this, like, when they popped in either. And even now, I'm just sort of like, they're less annoying now, but they're just still kind of there. But like, I think for me, I kind of feel more sympathetic to her because she is a cyber new type, and it felt more in line of the whole sort of, you know, the fucked up themes of, you know, the previous ones we've seen. So seeing her just immediately attached to Judo, and how it kind of it's definitely meant to be a parallel of Judo and his actual younger sister, who he doesn't have, and is kind of projecting a little bit of that relationship pseudo onto Plu.
Yeah.
Which is something I find interesting. And also, I don't know why, for some reason, when she just pops up at random points and is like, hi, I just kind of find it funny.
I'm just not a fan of the constant, like, she will just fuck everything up to pursue Judo, and it's like 90% of situations since she's joined the Argama crew could have been avoided if she just sat still.
That's Bright's fault. He should be looking after the child. It's his ship.
Oh, we gotta talk about Bright's brief characterization here of being interested in Emery.
Yeah, Emery. The subtitles call her Emery instead of Emily, so we're gonna go off of Emery.
It might be Emery as in like Emery wood, like the kind of is it wood? It's the material that you get on like nail files and stuff sometimes.
Oh no, yeah, you're right.
I can't remember if that's like a type of wood or if it comes like from another kind of like material. So that it may be Emery. It's
okay.
It could also be Emily, but I don't think the stresses are in the right place, or I would have picked up on that.
Yeah, you're gonna know more than me.
Yeah.
But yeah. First off, you think she's gonna be an important character when she pops in, because she's like the second member of the Levion Rose that pops up, I think. So you think, oh, okay, another step towards, you know, those two ships just sort of like converging and like actually moving the plot forward. No. She has one character trait, and that is purely just to be into Bright, which, you know, I love female characters who only exist to be like the love interest of a male character. That's such great writing.
And then you get the fact that like Bright's a married man with kids.
Yeah. Who is committed to that marriage, by the way. It's like for a while it was the only thing I respected him for. Like, hey, at least he isn't gonna cheat on like his wife. But Double Zeta tries to pull him away from that for some fucking reason.
Yup. It's such a weird bit of characterization, because you have him like also blushing along with Emery over it, and it's like
he himself is kind of playing into the, do I want to do this? No, I'm married. I can't do this. And it's like, Bright, what are you doing? You were like no offense, you were surrounded by women last series. A lot of them were, you know, kind of attractive, and you didn't even give them a second like glance in that direction because you were married, my guy.
You didn't even
look. I respected you for that.
You didn't even look at Shaun, and he tracks everyone, no matter what gender you are.
Yeah, I don't know how it happens. He just tracks everyone.
But yeah, no, this
Char Ansible, the Bye Maker.
He's just got that riz, that space riz.
Yeah, but not to Bright.
But not to Bright, apparently. Oh man.
Except Emery, for some reason Emery.
Yeah.
She has no character. Why Emery?
No. It's such a bizarre thing that they do for, like, I think 3 or 4 episodes it goes on for, just constantly
and then she disappears.
Yeah, she goes back onto the La Vie en Rose, and he wistfully watch her sail away, and Judo spies on this for some yeah.
That did happen.
The first half of this show is tonally very strange.
It feels like, I was gonna say Tomino, but we've talked about how he's probably more of like just a detached part of this for like a while at least. So like someone on the writing team, it feels like they saw the ending of Zeta and saw how the tone was and was like, we need a reprieve. We need some sort of like break between the grimness for a second, and it did not fucking work.
Yeah, because you're also like, you know, they're tasked with building up a whole new set of characters, because like you have Bright, and he's really the only holdover. Well, Haman later, but like at the beginning, Bright's the only holdover character that we know, and we're asked to,
along with Fa, who gets kicked out after
out.
like 7 episodes. Yeah,
but we're asked to like get to know a whole set of new characters, but also asked to dislike a whole bunch of new villains, and they're kind of swapping in and out, and we're meant to be like, okay, they're gonna come back and we're gonna continue to hate them, but like having the tone that the show does, it's hard to really do what the show demands that you have to do, because it's the tone of a far less cohesive, structured story. It is the tone of a like episode of the week show, not one that has a really like important story that it's trying to tell over the course of 47 episodes, which Double Zeta is doing. It's just doing it in a very bad way up until a certain point.
You know what it's like? It's like if in the middle of Game of Thrones, like season 4 or season 5 of Game of Thrones, just like tonally you just dropped in like season 2 of House of the Dragon, which is a season that doesn't really go anywhere overall and ends so very abruptly in a weird sort of tone. And then after that it goes back to like season like 5 of Game of Thrones, and it's like, or like halfway through that season it just becomes season 5 of Game of Thrones, and you're like, what the fuck just happened?
It's almost like if you took a season of Friends and just in the middle of it put like a murder mystery.
No, that would have been great.
You know, like suddenly Ross is legitimately dead, and they're
that would have been amazing. What are you talking about?
I'm not even talking Columbo style. I'm fully talking like CSI levels of murder mystery.
Again, that would have been so cool though. Suddenly, like, fuck it, let's say Phoebe or like Chandler just become like super serious like detectives. I'd watch that. That's complete total whiplash for good.
Yeah, it just suddenly becomes like a HBO show for like half of the season, just like 11 episodes in the middle.
It gets revealed it was done by The Sopranos.
Yeah. You got a fucking James Gandolfini cameo at the end.
I like Friends as well, but that would have been great.
Maybe that's not a great example. I don't know. It's like if you put a season of Big Bang in the middle of a season of Friends.
There you go. That's better. That's a pretty good step down.
You know, the like actual like mean-spirited kind of humor that Big Bang exhibits 90% of the time.
No, if we're gonna go purely sitcoms, just How I Met Your Mother. First few seasons are fine, but there is a lull in like those middle seasons, like before, like that just kind of, I want to say between seasons, that's maybe 6 or 7. It kind of just hits a lull. Yeah, fuck you. He just did the hand thing when I said that. I didn't even realize. Fuck you. But like in those 2 seasons, there's definitely a lull.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's sort of it's probably closer to like the last season of How I Met Your Mother, where there's like an actual kind of like specific structure that season goes for, where it suddenly realizes, shit, we gotta wrap this up.
Yeah. I say that like the show is definitely aged, and there's definitely more problems with that show that have become more and more evident as time passes. But
Yeah.
like from my last rewatch of that show, I will say season 9 is actually good overall. It's just like the last 2 episodes that suck.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's the ending that fucks up How I Met Your Mother, I think, overall, rather than
Yeah.
the actual last season itself.
Which is why you watch the like alternate ending where it just cuts like at a certain point, and like none of the like the weird decisions like come up, and it's just fine. That's a weird tangent. I want to get off this tangent.
I want to get off this ride.
Yeah. What else is there to talk about that we haven't sort of just
I think we've
trashed really
covered most of the actual kind of main points without getting into like nitty gritty things at episode to episode stuff. But like we never really talked about Zeta like that either.
No,
I'm looking at like our current runtime, and like it's substantially shorter than our first Zeta episode, but like that's because there's substantially less to discuss, I think, realistically.
Yeah. And like the thing with Zeta was that even in that first half, and I remember like discussing how I had maybe some problems with just expectations I had, which, you know, in hindsight now, it's fine. There's no point of Zeta I would say was actually bad.
Yeah.
At all. There are parts where I had like sort of personal preferences, sort of grievances with like where I thought it was gonna go, but that's more just a me thing than I think the show thing. Whereas a good chunk of this first half felt genuinely awful.
It's a real low point of the series. I would say the only other low point, or the only other time it gets as low as this, is Seed Destiny, because it's just a show that shouldn't exist.
Well, it's gonna be a long while until that's
It's gonna
happening.
be so fucking long before we get to Seed Destiny.
Is Seed Destiny, is that still in the Universal Center? Is that one of the other?
No, so that's one of the spin-offs, and it's kind of weird because like it's also part of like their turn of the century reboot, because Seed is kind of just 0079 but set in a different timeline and with like slightly different ideas behind it. It's sort of like, oh, no one wants to watch 0079, that's old, so we're gonna do like a whole new thing. But it was also like a celebrate.
Okay.
It's kind of a weird thing. I like Seed, the first season. I think
you don't like Seed Destiny.
I don't like Seed Destiny. I think Seed comes together well at the end, and then Seed Destiny is a thing that Seed never set up, and it did, and it is ass.
It's almost, this is almost reminding me of like fucking Gunbuster.
Oh yeah, you know what? It is pretty much, Seed Destiny is the Die Buster of Gundam.
Okay, cool. I'd be happy if we actually just never watched that, to be honest. Now that you've told me that, but
oh man, God, this one, it's still unfortunately one of my most expensive sets, because they did like the ultimate edition of that along with Seed, so it was like both seasons were stupid prices each.
Sucks.
Yeah.
Oh well, I'm glad we're past this low point.
Yeah, it only goes up from here. It only goes up from here for this.
It feels like it's already going on the up, because again, like since episode 19 or 18, it feels like it's been getting back to Gundam as like the way we enjoy it, clearly. And ever since they've landed on Earth, it's felt very refreshing, weirdly enough, to get to like have these like sort of Earth-centric stories, because like when they got to episode 24, I think, and it's like the battle like near like the coastline, and like it's in the middle of a storm, and we're seeing Gundam battles like underwater and stuff. that felt so fucking refreshing
Yeah.
after not just this, but after like Zeta, or like most of Zeta, and I was like, I'd be cool just having a Gundam series like this. Like, instead of space, have it under the sea. That's a timeline I'd like to see. Oh, that rhymed.
I do find it very funny that this is the one that's done the least amount of like, hey, do you remember 0079? And then we get to Earth and it's immediately like, hey, do you remember 79? Here's the one episode that we wanted to forget, followed by the other thing that we also did on Earth. Because it's basically that first episode on Earth is like a rehash of Kukuru's Doan's Island, which is the infamous episode 15 that they cut out from like every international release. And then the other one after that's like a weird rehash of Rambaral for some reason, but like I like the rehash of Rambaral, if only because it does the thing of like actually kind of trying to show the dichotomy of the Neo Zeon and the original Zeon like believers. Where you've got the guy who's like, I've waited so long for this, and like clearly things have so far surpassed whatever he believed in at the time, and clearly he's being used in some kind of capacity.
There's an actual theme in that episode, which was nice to have, where of like, oh, these guys have been living in the past, possibly even further than the 8 years they've been here for so long, and they just don't think of anything else. They've just, even when some of them have gotten families in the meantime, they have refused to moved on, and it has killed them. And that's fucked up, isn't it?
It's fascinating because I'm currently reading a book called Pachinko, and it is a book about like 4 generations of Koreans who originally lived in Korea under rule of Japan, who moved to Japan, and then obviously when World War II ends, the Imperial Japanese government falls, and they cede all of their external territories. These Koreans become not Japanese citizens anymore, but also like they were discriminated against for being Koreans. It's pretty specifically about a group known as the Zainichi Koreans, who are people who live in Japan who were from Korea under Japanese imperial rule, and their descendants, who are neither citizens nor foreigners.
Yeah, because I imagine in that like sort of context, if they've been in Japan for so long, just in like that time period, and given like the context of post World War II, they're kind of in a way stateless, I imagine.
Yeah,
if not like officially, like on some sort of like personal level, because they don't feel fully Korean, that they can go back because they went to Japan, like the land of the oppressors, but also like they don't feel Japanese because clearly Japan didn't consider them first-class citizens or any kind of citizens. So where do they go?
Because you have
That's
like
fascinating.
The first generation who moved there, who are like, well, at the end of the war, they're kind of like, well, we want to go home, but then obviously the Korean War kicks off, so you don't want to go back to another war zone.
Yeah, that doesn't even mention all the Cold War shit that was happening. No. That is, wow.
And then you've got like the second generations who were born there, who are like, well, we don't like have any ties to the Korean homeland. Japan's our homeland, but we're not treated as Japanese citizens. We're not seen as the same as Japan. It's a fascinating book of like how that changes over time and how that affects people's identity and their place in society, and how they sort of like not just like the external societal view, but also like the familial thing of it. It's like you've got these people who move from Korea, who have all the Korean ideals, who have the Korean traditions and you know, family dynamics, but then people who grew up in Japan who are like, I don't really understand that Korean side of stuff. It's a fascinating book. I wish it was a little more emotionally investive. It's a fascinating subject matter. The story's really interesting. I just, given the subject matter, wish the story was more emotional. If that makes sense.
Maybe a little less clinical.
A little less.
That is, because that is like something that's fascinating, but also like that's got to be rough and
Yeah.
like awful like experience.
And like that's sort of like what that episode reminded me of, is like this is a weird parallel to something else I'm currently experiencing right now, because I was like
Almost flipped on its head though, because the fascists became the ones that were lost.
Yeah. But no, it feels like we're getting back on track finally. It took a lot longer than I thought it would.
Yeah. I'm actually interested to see where it's gonna go now, which, you know, couldn't have said that 10 episodes ago.
Yeah, there's one episode that I'm like, that stuck in my mind as like, this is the point where like it really becomes some of the best of Gundam.
I have like theories on like possible events that might happen that will cause a tone shift like the way you've described.
Yeah.
I won't say anything, but I have ideas, and I'm curious to see if any of them are right.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Oh no.
I'm
scared, but also kind of excited.
I'm just also gonna throw out there, the Double Zeta is actually one of my favorite Gundams, just period.
Oh, it's cool. It's a cool robot.
Yeah, I love that you have you know, Zeta as like a sort of logical follow on from the OG Gundam, where like it's a little more
the OG and the Mark II.
It's a little more nimble, it can transform, it has more beam based weapons, and then you've got the Double Zeta that's just like, what if we just made a fucking tank of a machine?
Yeah. We got the big boy now. We saw the Psycho Gundam and like Zeta, and we're like, hey, what if we could make something like that, but not as excessively big? And, you know, we can split it up into 3 to make it more, you know, convenient.
Also follows into, like, a thing that you don't really see in the trilogy, but is, like, that the original Gundam had a similar thing where it split into 3 parts, but the trilogy kind of cut that out because they wanted to be less, like, toy marketed, if that makes sense.
Yeah. The movies wanted to be cinema.
Yeah.
They did try. They
did try.
I will say one more like last thing. This has just popped back in my head given the whole like tonal shift thing that just made me realize. I actually thought the tonal shift was gonna come a little earlier in like the Granada episode. When it got to like Cecilia and stuff, and like I kind of clocked that like they didn't actually give her gold ingots like payoff. Like I kind of clocked, oh, that's gonna be a bomb or something, isn't it?
It also says that
like
directly in the episode preview, which is like, yeah, cool, way to diffuse any tension.
Oh, I forgot about that watching the episode, so you know, maybe it was just like subconsciously I was like, oh, that's the bomb. But you know, I had like a moment of, at first it was kind of like joking though, like, oh, it's gonna be a bomb, not really believing it because the tone at this point had been so comedic. I was like, they're not gonna do it.
Yeah.
And then as it kind of became more real, I was kind of like, is the total shift gonna be that we've had all these wacky adventures and then a civilian plane gets used to blow up a part of like our forces?
I would have loved if that was where the tonal shift happened.
No, same. But the reason I'm bringing this up is because I got genuinely excited over that, and I kind of had to take a moment and go, I don't feel like I should be this excited for this, but like this show has been so ass that I'm so ready to accept this, because holy shit.
No, you need to go through just an insane amount of episodes to actually get to the good stuff of Double Zeta. I think anytime Haman's in it, it's got a marked improvement, but like she's not in as much of this show.
No. She is a sobering force, though.
Yes.
She comes in and the writers get told to stop fucking around. Anyway, I think that's my final point I think I can make.
Cool. I think we've come to the end of this episode. I don't think there's much more we can really go over. I think we've kind of covered most of our main points for this first half here. Of course, we've mentioned, but I'll reiterate that next week is just immediately the next half of this.
We don't want to prolong this.
No, it does mean that the last like 2 months or so of episodes are going to be Gundam focused. I do apologize to anyone who's not that interested in Gundam. However, we want to get through this and not be done with it, but like we don't want to prolong covering these.
We don't want this to be a hanging thread that's gonna follow us for another 4 years.
Yeah. So yeah, next week, Double Zeta Part 2, and then the week after, Char's Counterattack. So yeah, you're getting slightly more anime discussion this month. It just sucks that if you're not a Gundam fan, it's not going to be something you're totally interested in. But yeah, we will see you guys next week. Bye bye.
Yeah. Bye.